Good morning, everybody. We're back to Tat Talk. It's Monday, April the 14th, and this is it April the 14th?
13.
13. I don't even know what day it is. I do know it's episode 14, and it's already been an amazing series. And today, me particularly, I'm very excited about today. As you know, I'm a pianist, and it's all I've done all my life. And I thought I was a great pianist until I sit on a panel like this, and I go, "Are you kidding me?" Because if you've ever had if you hear these people play, I mean, all three of them are just amazing in their industry. And it does not make me want to quit. It inspires me to get better, but I'm too old for that. So I'll just relish in the fact that I'm chatting with them on a talk show. Three amazing people. A great friend of mine. I've had the pleasure of performing with her on a cruise ship. Like I said, I thought I had a pretty significant left hand until I sat behind and watched Judy Carmichael. How you doing, Judy?
I'm great. Thanks for asking me to do this.
No, it's great. It's great to have you here. You look fantastic. And you're there in Sag Harbor, right? I am. How's the weather out there?
It's amazing. They're saying it's going to be 70 mile per hour winds. So it's getting pretty dramatic.
Wow.
Yeah, we've got a big storm coming in.
Well, I'm in Phoenix, and it's, I don't know what it is, but it's not windy, and it's about 75, so I'm going to take it. Another guest of mine, a man I've never met, love his music. My son, Nick, introduced me to him when he said he's a big Disney fan, and he said, "Dad, you've got to listen to this album, Circle Sessions." It's jazz interpretations of Disney classics. And boy, it takes you about 20 seconds to go, wow. Welcome to the show, Bill Cantos. How you doing, Bill?
Thank you. It's great to be here. I love being, I'm in between these two great players on my screen as I look at them. I love it. Nice to be on the panel.
Great having you on the show. And our final guest is, as some of you know who know me, my favorite singer, bar none of all time, is Jack Jones. And when we had our venue, to get Jack there was really the big name that I wanted to get in our venue. When Jack was there, performed with a pianist who, again, you hear him play the piano and go, well, hang on a minute, those white and black notes don't sound like that when I touch them. Welcome to the show, Mike Renzi.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
It's great to have you on the show. This is going to be a fun show. And already the viewership, the Facebook Live thing is just flying out with musicians who are on here, excited to hear your story. But as always, we start our show with 3 quick-fire questions. We find out a little bit about the people and have some fun. So the first question is going to go to Bill Cantos.
Oh, my goodness.
What or who inspires you, Bill?
I guess I get inspired by other people who are getting inspired themselves. I love listening to what people are doing, and I love hearing things that just, I don't know, they did their take on it, and it makes me want to do my take on it. I mean, honestly, that's one of the things that other people's creativity is really fun to just check out, and it gets me thinking, oh my God, I have a bar to come up to here.
Absolutely, yeah. What about you, Judy?
I've been inspired by the artists I know, musicians and other kinds of artists who are taking this time to be creative and are producing something, because I think that artists are particularly focused on that sort of thing. And the ones I admire the most are producing something now and are getting, I just talked to Mike Renzi this morning, and he's getting back into the classical music he loves. And rather than just sitting and watching a bunch of movies or being on video games, the artists that I really admire have all been taking this time to learn a new skill or to get better at something, which I really admire.
No, absolutely. I love that. Mike, what about you? What or who inspires you?
Well, my answer is sort of like Bill's. It's other musicians and their artistry. Beauty inspires me. Physical beauty, musical beauty, of course, and sound. For example, I'll just give you, I'm leaving out a million people, but when I hear Johnny Mandel's orchestrations behind certain people, the beauty of the harmony and the way he balances the strings on the woodwinds, it takes me to another place. I can be in a lousy mood and I hear I hear one of Johnny's shots, for example, like on Shirley Horn's Here's to Life. What he wrote behind her was exquisite. And so that kind of lifts me up. But, talking to you guys, that's another confidence builder for me because it just makes me want to get better.
Is that possible?
I don't know. I'm going to shut off my mail here, see if we don't hear it.
May I say something? It's always, you never stop learning. Judy was mentioning about me. I took out the books from the conservatory days and the Chopin, the Bach, and the Ravel and all that, and the pages are yellow, and I try to play them like I did then, and I stunk. I have to really go back to practicing slow. So, see, you never stop learning. You have to really retract. Bill, I'm sure you've had that experience too, right?
Oh, there's nothing like practicing slow. My wife is an amazing piano player and married, Falcone, and it's funny because she's practice slow. She's the one who's like, she'll come in. It's like, no, slow that down. And so there's no, you just have to always kind of like peel it back and get to that. If you can do that, and it's like tell my students, if you can do it slow, you can do it fast. It's muscle memory we're working on here,
Great stuff.
Someone was telling me, actually I saw it on an interview, that they heard the great Sergei Rachmaninoff practicing one of his own piano concertos, and it was so slow, he was like actually nodding out listening to him practice.
It's harder to play some of those things slowly.
Very.
Rachmaninoff had one of the greatest techniques ever.
Amazing. This is such a great show for me to be involved in. Listening to you three talk about stuff like that, that's amazing. I think we've got the Judy Carmichael fan club on here, though. Jan Stenning says, Judy looks incredible. Joe Martin said, Judy looks gorgeous. And my wife, Anne, said, Judy is not only a fantastic pianist, but an amazing, warm, entertaining, and classy performer.
No, that's so nice. Thank you. We need to do this more often.
Yes, we do. Next quick-fire question. This is for Judy. Judy, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
If I could live anywhere in the world?
Yes.
Well, I live in Sag Harbor, which I adore, but if it weren't here, it'd be Aspen. I'm big into mountains and skiing and hiking and all of that. It would be Aspen.
Perfect. What about you, Mike?
I'm in Newport, Rhode Island right now after all those years in New York City, but can't go there now. But whenever I had things in New York to do, I just drove there 2.5 hours. But probably either out to France or somewhere in middle of Italy, like maybe Tuscany.
Nice. Again, not just now, but yeah. What about you, Bill?
He stole my answer. I love Tuscany, honestly, and we've been there more than any other place. It's the one place I feel like outside of the States where I feel the most at home, and I love all the different parts of it. But there's something about Tuscany that just I love. Florence, kind of somewhere like outskirts, suburbs of Florence, I guess, with a few, but I can still get in the city.
Yeah, I love Italy. It's great. All right, here's a fun question. I'm going to start with you, Mike. If you were arrested with no explanation at all, what would your friends assume you had done?
Probably speeding and then telling the cop off.
Nice. I guess that hasn't happened before, though, or has it?
Well, the speeding has, but not the arrest.
Okay, good. And Bill, if you were arrested with no explanation, what would your friends think you had done?
Oh my Lord. I was going to say, like, I hate to say bad driving. I don't know. I was like, did I get distracted and like run into a ditch or something? Or did I don't know, something about not making the changes properly. And, something gig related. I'm not sure. I forgot to write the guy's checks and then, months went by or something. I don't know.
Something like that. What about you, Judy?
It'd have to be speeding. I live in this small town and I know most of the cops, and I used to play golf with the police chief, so I could get away with driving really fast. But my friends would think I was driving fast, and unlike Mike Renzi, they would assume that I tried to be nice to the cop and didn't get away with it. And then it me down.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's awesome.
It does.
Superb. Well, we're going to talk to Judy a little bit about her amazing career, Grammy nominated, a Steinway artist. And when I first met Judy, we met. Do you know where we met? Do you remember where we met?
Yeah, we did on Holland America. I can't remember which one.
Well, I remember the ship, and I remember the actual place on the.
It was in the coffee place, right?
It was in the coffee place, yeah. And actually, I can't remember the ship. I think it was Amsterdam. But I didn't know you, and I was on there to do the Billy Joel Elton John show, and we talked piano. And like I say, my impression of you was, oh my God, are you kidding me? Do I really have to play piano on this show? But you're phenomenal. And I know what I know about you is it goes way back to Disneyland.
Yes.
So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about your career, how you got to where you are, but especially starting in those Disney days or earlier.
Well, interestingly, I wasn't planning on a piano career. I was a German major. And a friend of mine told me about a job. He knew I played some ragtime and told me about a job in Newport Beach and said he thought I could get it. And I went in and played one tune, and I only knew 5 tunes. My joke is that I knew 5 tunes and 4 of them were Maple Leaf Rag. So, but the guy, he was never going to come back. I was playing on his off night. And so I played the one tune, Maple Leaf Rag, and he hired me, not knowing I didn't know anything else. And so then I worked really hard and learned some other tunes. And then got better, got some more jobs, and then eventually went in and played Maple Leaf Rag and got the job at Disneyland. And I'm quite proud. I'm the first woman instrumentalist ever hired by the Disney Corporation. They had never had a woman instrumentalist. So I was in a dressing room with 10 men because they didn't have a women's dressing room for instrumentalists. And I did that for 5 years. And it was great, a great experience. It was 7 hours a day, 5 days a week for 5 years. Chops, baby. That'll get your thing going. And then I came to New York and developed my career. And here I am. That's the quick version.
That's the quick version with the big gap in the middle. I know you're, I think it's an all-vocal CD. I love being here with you. I have that in my car, and Anne just bought me a new car, which takes me to the speeding too. Because Anne bought me a Tesla, and
I love Tesla,
and it's crazy. And the volume on the sound system goes to 11. That's the best part of the car. It goes to 11. So I have your, I love being here with you. But I believe, and I didn't know this, that Mike is the pianist on that album.
He is. And you know, one of my I'll tell you 2 great, well, there's many great things. That was my singing debut because I mainly played piano until just a few years ago and started singing. Number 1, you don't know this, Mike, I don't think. That's the first time that I had fun recording a CD. All of my piano ones, I was nervous. I didn't enjoy it. That one was pure joy. And Mike was playing piano. And then the second thing that's really wonderful is people who don't read the liner notes and don't pay attention think I'm playing piano. And suddenly I sound just like Mike Renzi. And I go, well, I don't know, just something happened. And I suddenly play like Mike Renzi. Don't you like that, Bill?
Well, you've just given me a great idea. I've got this new solo vocal album coming out, and I wonder if you'd play on the piano, play piano. And I'll just omit the liner notes and let them think what they want to think.
Well, why don't you invite each one of us to accompany you on different tracks? That would be
what all 3 of you. Yeah, we'll do 12 songs.
And you can put our names in really, really tiny type at the bottom, like
exactly.
So it's there, but nobody can actually read it. So
this is a very good idea. Very good idea.
Of course, we could do an hour full show on all three performers here, but I do definitely want to touch on Jazz Inspired, Judy, because I had once we left that ship, it became on my podcast playlist. And I don't know how many you've done, but I think I've listened to 100 of them. I think my favorite is the Billy Joel interview because of my connection with Billy Joel. But you're a fantastic interviewer on that.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very proud of that show. And this is my 20th year, which is very exciting. So, and as an independent producer, so I'm doing it without NPR, contributing to that, although it's on NPR stations. And that Billy Joel interview is one of my favorites too, because he agreed to do it on the condition that he could take me to lunch. So we did it over lunch. We had met just once. And as I say, I've said this many times, but it's true. We started like sort of an awkward date, and 3 hours and 3 bottles of wine later, we were 2 drunk musicians hanging out. So that's an interesting interview. I had to edit it down, of course, but it's really fun. It was great. And he was lovely, really great.
That's cool.
And it truly is a great podcast. So if anybody watching listens to podcasts, go on it. Judy Carmichael's Jazz Inspired. There's over, how many have you done? Do you know how many interviews?
Over 400. It's 20 years. It's a lot.
That's crazy. Go and tune into it. It's great. And for anyone out there who has not seen Judy play, check out this video. You're going to love this.
I can't give you anything but love. Baby, I can't give you anything but love. Yeah! Judy Carmichael, thank you.
Did you see that left hand? I mean, seriously, did you see that left hand? That's crazy. That's crazy. I just got a text from a guy, a pianist I know in the UK, a really good one. And he just texted me, not on the show, and said, "Are you effing kidding me?"
Thank you. Here's the left hand.
That's great.
Amazing. Thanks, Judy. Superb. Bill Cantos, such a finesse, fine player. But when you mention people like Ramsey Lewis and Leah Salonga and Patty Austin, Brenda Russell, and the Bergmans, wow, that's a great list of people you've worked with, Bill.
It's fun. For me, things kind of break down to the stuff I get to do as a piano player and as a songwriter, and then doing my own stuff and as a singer. And so those are all people. Well, yeah, I mean, those are all people I've worked with as a songwriter. Except, well, my wife and I have write with Alan and Marilyn, which has been amazing, and we've written with Johnny Mandel actually. So that's, that's an amazing thing. And it's fun to kind of go from one world to the other as a writer, or as a player, as a singer, and just kind of experience it from different angles.
No, absolutely. It's a great, and Leah, I don't know what you did with Leah Salonga, but Leah is probably my favorite female vocalist.
She's amazing. I've never met her, but she's recorded 2 of my songs. And a song I wrote called Sunlight. If you're in the Philippines, you know this song. It was a hit song there and only there. And then she recorded it after that. And then she found a song of mine called Who Are You? And she recorded that. And I'm dying to meet her someday in person because we've corresponded and all these things. It's really fun to have somebody, that you don't know, but you respect, all of a sudden show up with some gorgeous version of something you wrote. It's really fun.
Oh, I bet that's amazing. Yeah, I bet that's incredible to see that. And I know the Bergmans with some amazing songs. The one that sticks out for me, and I say this only because Jack Jones was telling me a story about this song and them, and that's How Do You Keep the Music Playing, which is just a sensational song. I know with you, my connection through my son is it called the Circle Sessions?
It's called Carthay Circle. It was a really interesting project. It was for Disney. They contacted me. A guy named Todd Homme contacted me because they had a restaurant in California Adventure that they were rebuilding. And they specifically wanted to use as a departure point a Dave Brubeck album called Dave Digs Disney. And they wanted music that would be those kinds of arrangements, both solo piano and with a group that would be playing on this endless loop in the thing. But they really wanted that vibe. And so I got this carte blanche to record like 25 songs or something and take a band into the studio with Peter Erskine and Chuck Berghofer and Don Shelton doing his Paul Desmond thing. And we had a blast. And I would just, try not to fan geek out on like Peter Erskine and all these people that were so amazing, that I've always just enjoyed and really getting to just work on. And so there was a real license to be creative and come up with very unique, crazy arrangements of these things, but it was a really, really fun project to do. And they released some of them on CD.
Yeah, I just had a question, but I'm trying to follow the thread as we go through this. And Nick, my son, who he just said he has a question for you, Bill. What gave you the idea to arrange Winnie the Pooh in 5/4?
That's a great question. I think, and of course the answer is because it was a Dave Brubeck thing. And I thought, well, I have to do something in 5. And I literally looked at the list and I thought, and I was like, okay, cool. And then it was just like, well, how can we really, have fun with that? And it's almost like making little puzzles for yourself when you're doing an arrangement that way.
Yeah, we have a pianist here who works with us with Ted. His name's Josh Condon. I heard him play here about a month ago. Phenomenal player. And I don't know if Josh is watching this, but if you are, Josh, you've got to jump on Apple and grab this because there's Carthay Circle Sessions with Bill Cantos, because it's stunning. We were listening. You go and you sit outside in the pool, you get a drink, you sit down, you close your eyes, you're in. For me, I'm there in California Adventure.
There's a thing, and I can't believe I don't know. The group stuff is not listed under my name. Like if you go to iTunes or YouTunes, thank you, iTunes, YouTube, something. The solo stuff is listed under my name, but the group stuff is listed either as the Carthay players or the Circle Session players or something like that. But the way to hear the group stuff is, I'll look it up. But the group stuff is really fun too.
No, it's phenomenal, and we'll get someone in our team to throw the link on this thread. It's great. Josh, actually, the pianist, he is watching. He just wrote, "I'm watching." So, Josh, go and check it out because you'll see it. Before we go to a quick video of Bill, I do want to mention that aside from all this amazing work, you also toured with Phil Collins on 3 world tours as a backing vocalist.
Yes. The only time I ever wasn't a piano player, I was just a background singer, standing at a mic and doing, it was a blast. And I did 3 different tours with him. And it was through a friend of mine, Arnold McCuller, who's an amazing singer and has toured as a background singer with lots of people. And he said, would you ever be interested in doing a gig where you just sang and didn't play? And I said, Phil Collins? Yeah, I'd be interested in that. And it was so cool. It was like, and my wife has toured with a bunch of pop artists, and she said, it's like, no, you got it. This is your big rock tour. You got to do this. And it was a blast. Totally. And he says my name like you do. Everybody else in the world says Cantos, but British people say Cantos. And he would on stage, he would Billy Cantos, and he would say it so nice and dignified when he would say it. So I don't know what it is about British people and Cantos, but anyway.
Well, if you've ever heard Billy Cantos perform, he's a different style to Judy, but equally brilliant. Check this out.
All your friends with their fancy persuasions won't admit that it's part of a scheme. But I can't help but have my suspicions, 'cause I ain't quite as dumb as I seem. Well, you said you were never intending to break up our scene in this way, 'cause there ain't any use in pretending it could happen to us any day. How long has this been going on? How long has this been going on? Let me say a word about my favorite subject, and that would be you. Even if you think that I'm exaggerating, believe me, it's true. If I had to make a list of all the reasons you got me undone, certainly I'd get into the triple digits. But let's start with one. You've got style. The way you walk into a room makes me smile.
Bill Cantos, fantastic, Bill. That was tremendous, and makes me want to go now. I want to go back out by the pool, grab a martini or a glass of wine, and listen to the album again, which I'm probably going to do this afternoon.
Oh my goodness!
Superb, superb. Our next guest at Sky, we were there about 8 years. Had some amazing players, hands down. This is the best musician we had on our stage. That completely blew me away. But when you can list, when you can get a list of people you performed with or recorded with, and it sounds like this: Lena Horne, Sylvia Sims, Maureen McGovern, Mel Torme, Jack Jones, Liza Minnelli, Tony Bennett, Lady Gaga, and Peggy Lee. That's pretty impressive. Check out this from 1984 with Mike Renzi and Peggy Lee.
It was just one of those things, just one of those crazy things, one of those bells that now and then rings, just one of those things. It was the end of it when we started painting.
Oh boy, Mike! I have to go to Facebook. You know, when you have these Facebook Live things, they got the emoticons where they can press love and like. I can't see the text for all these love hearts piling up on the screen from people who I am not worthy. Oh my God, are you kidding me? Yowza! And he doesn't break a sweat.
Yeah, that's all for front, but I'll tell you, I was churning inside.
Superb. Don't know where to start, Mike. I know you, from my limited knowledge, you were musical director for Peggy Lee and Mel Torme for what, 20, 30 years, something like that?
It's close to 23 years, you know, a part of each. I guess with Mel, it was more, I did 2 stints with him. You know, I did 79 to about like 84. And then I got busy in the studios. I started writing music for the soaps. So I left. But then in the middle 90s, I went back because I had, you know, gotten done with the soap thing. And they were all moving to California and some were going off. And that was a great period, too. In fact, I made Mel's last album with him at Disney Institute, the one just before he got sick. And he was at the top of his game. It was just a shame that, you know, 3 weeks later, we were in California, supposed to be for Concord Records with Mel, and he got sick, and we never did it. They flew me back home, and that was it. But Mel and then Peggy in the early 80s, too. We used to do a month at a time at the Ballroom in New York.
Okay.
Yeah, but Peggy was, man, she was something else, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, great time, Bill. She had the greatest feel of swing, but so subtle. And Jay Lenhart, the bass player, said something funny. He said, we'd watch her with that big red high heel going toe heel, tapping in 2 when we were doing something fast. She had great time feel.
Oh, yeah, you could tell. It's like, that's one of the things I love about her.
Yep.
So good. And I'm sure everybody, you're always getting asked questions about Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga. What can you tell us about that? What's your biggest memory, fondness about that?
Well, we did a 7-country tour after the duet album came out. It was great to see Lady Gaga. We all know what she does with her rock act and everything else like that, but she can do almost anything. She was great to work with. She knows what she wants, but she's all light, especially with the lighting and the sound. No, really, it's great. Tony is Tony. You know, he's a living legend, and they were good for each other because her fan club got to know Tony, and Tony's got to know Lady, and they worked well together. It was a fun thing. It was really private jets, and the whole thing was first class. So it was good, and they're both great artists. You know, yeah. Lady Gaga was an amazing talent.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. You know, when you came to Phoenix back in it was 2009, I think it was, with Jack Jones, played at Sky. It was an amazing weekend for us at Sky to have Jack and the band in there. I think Jack's incredible. I think he's an incredible interpreter of songs. How many times did you work with Jack?
Oh, quite a bit. I would say Jack wasn't terribly busy. Like with Mel and Peggy, we were doing a lot of tours and stuff, and with Tony, of course, very busy. But Jack stays around Palm Springs all the time, and but it was great with Jack. The New York things were great. He's just talk about swing.
Yeah,
great ears. Still had great ears, but Jack knows when you play a different note in the chord voicing. He has it. He'll tell you. He said, "What was the thing you played last night? First chord of the bridge of blah blah blah." You go, "What? You heard that?" You know, Bill Cantos. Like if you put a major minor 7th and instead of a normal minor 7th the night before, you heard that.
Ha! I love it.
Yep.
Incredible is his. I don't know whose arrangement it was, but his vocal version of "God Only Knows." It's one of the best things I've heard live. It's incredible interpretation of that song.
That when we did that song, that was, we just had a rhythm section part. Somebody had done a rhythm section part, and we just kind of made it up on the spot, you know. Yeah.
No, so good. You know, there's a question here for Mike, but I'd love to ask all 3 of you. The question for Mike was, is there anyone you haven't worked with yet that you'd like to work with? Is there anybody out there that you go, oh, I'd love to share some time on the stage? And that's for the other 2 as well.
Who's first, me?
Yeah.
I did so many, but who comes to mind right now is, you know, I haven't done anything with Streisand, or you know, I don't know, Streisand. I like things.
I think, Mike, I think the answer you're looking for is you'd like to work on my vocal album.
Did I do Terry Davies? Sorry.
You'll have to fight the two of us. That's all I'm saying.
I know, that's it. We're already all booked for
We're all on board. Exactly.
Oh, we're all on
This is
board.
all a big recruiting thing. This wasn't
It
even
is.
about.
That's the whole thing is about.
He worked us like a well-oiled machine, didn't he?
Thank you. Yes, he did.
Very
He's been
smooth.
buttering us up all day.
Very smooth.
Bill, what about you? Anyone you haven't worked with you'd love
You
to?
know, it's so funny because it's that same thing. I could come up with 100 names, and yet I can't think of any single one right now. I feel like there are places where all those just classic. I don't know. I want to get to trade fours with a bunch of different singers. I would love to just share a stage with whoever it is. You know, the Kurt Ellings of the world. There's like so many people. When I talked before about creative people, there's a part of me that's like, oh, that makes me want to go do something of my own. And then the other side is I want to go do something with them, you know? Yeah. And so some of my most fun things in the last year have been this. I played this club Vibrato in LA, and we kind of have some guest artists, and we're starting to do things like that. We do theme nights and we do guest artists. And so I'm hoping to do more and more of that because I just love that trade-off process. There's a lot of really cool people out there that I would love to get to.
That's cool. What about you, Judy?
I want to do another CD with Mike. We have the person right here. I want a vocal CD and with Mike. And we've talked about it. We've talked about doing a Brazilian CD, which would be a big challenge for me because that's not music that I've really explored. I mean, I've listened a lot to it, but it's not something that I play or sung. And so it would be new, but really anything with Mike, and especially ballads. I have a fantasy of doing it, really blowing everybody's mind and going the opposite of this upbeat stride thing and just do a CD of ballads of that kind of thing. Some of my originals, some of the ballads I've written, but with Harry Allen, and but do it just with Mike and maybe Jay, and just something small and very, very intimate.
Nice. I like it. There's a question that's come up from one of the viewers that's interesting. It's probably throwing you in the deep end a little bit, but it is, give us a one word or a one sentence if I was to say the name Oscar Peterson. Bill.
Incredibly intimidating, but ultimately just joy-giving.
Judy?
Shot in the arm, baby. Every time I put him on, I'm just revved up. I love it. Love it.
Mike?
I get depressed. But it makes you want to run to the piano and start practicing again. Yeah. No, he's so exuberant. Of course, I think he was probably my first influence. When you're 13 years old trying to do licks, you steal like just try to copy it, and then after that, everybody else falls in place. But wow.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing. This is cool. What a great 3 interviews there. We're going to go to the next segment of the show, which is fun. It's called Where in the World is Terry?
Where in the world is Terry? Where in the world is Terry?
All right, we're going to have a little bit of fun. I'm going to change my background, my virtual background here on Zoom, and I'm going to put me in a place in the world. Now, it's a little bit different today because what I've done, I've made it a little bit tricky, and there's also an area where I'm going to get into something I'm going to talk with Mike about, but I didn't give away in my interview. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, where is it? I'm going to go to Judy. Judy, I want you to tell me, where in the world am I?
It's Star Trek. Your Spock is over here or something. Aren't you on the, what's their ship? The Enterprise.
Yeah, what's that ship called?
The Enterprise.
There you go. I'm on the Enterprise.
I met Spock. So this is very significant. You gave me this. I did.
Did you really?
Yes, Leonard Nimoy. That's did.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, it gets a bit tricky now. Okay. Because the first
I'm winning, guys. I'm winning.
Okay. Oh, my goodness.
The first one is for Mike. And it's related to one of our guests. But this is a tricky one. Let's see. I'm going to move out of the way so you can see where I am.
Are you in Palm Springs?
I am not, but it does look like Palm Springs, doesn't it? Think old Hollywood.
I see a theater marquee in the background, but I can't imagine where it is.
Anyone else guess?
I think I know.
Come on,
It's
Bill.
LA and it's related to Bill, right?
Is it the Carthay Circle?
It is.
Because what they did was, the whole idea about this is that the Carthay Theater that used to be in LA was where Snow White premiered and where they showed all these movies. And so they recreated the theater in California Adventure, but they turned it into a restaurant.
Yes.
So literally the facade looks exactly like the old Carthay Theater in LA.
So I apologize for that, Mike. That was a little bit of a deep one.
It was
Oh,
a trick.
you got me.
That's right.
But this is important because this one's for you, Bill. It's related to
Oh,
one of our guests. But you got to tell me where I am and why I'm here.
Ooh,
Oh my Lord.
I
Okay.
like this.
I don't know why it makes me feel like I'm in it. Like, oh, it's like, well, it looks like New York. My first thought was it looks like a Vegas recreation of some other city because it's kind of, but because it's a drawing. I'm going with New York or Brooklyn or something like this.
Okay, so it's a specific street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know that one.
Right.
What is it?
52nd. What is it? Is it Brooklyn? No, is it like the Village?
Okay, well, Judy, you must know.
I don't.
All right,
But
so-
Renzi knows. Mike, what is it?
It's where I worked for 11 years, the Sesame Street.
Oh, it is Sesame Street, of course.
Oh, of
my
course,
gosh.
yes.
So Mike was the musical director for Sesame Street, I think in the 2000s. Is that right, Mike?
Yeah, well, we started in 1999. I went to 2010.
Wow.
That's
Oh,
what we met
that's
during
too
that
cool.
period. Yep.
It is cool, isn't it? Now, what everyone's doing here, us and everybody watching, they're all going, okay, who's the guest between 1999 and 2010? What did they have on there? What's your coolest memory, Mike, of Sesame Street? What's your coolest memory of Sesame Street?
Well, winning 4 Emmys for them.
Yes,
That's
Yeah,
a good memory.
Yeah.
absolutely. Must have been an amazing experience, that.
It was. I'll tell you, it taught me a lot because Judy and Bill can relate to this, and so can you, Terry. You know, sometimes as a musician, you tend to be, you're organized in your own way. But with that, it was almost like a 9-to-5 thing. I had to be in the office as early as I could do because we're always 2 weeks ahead musically than the filming. So I had to really become disciplined and very, 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 very time conscious about, I have to do this certain amount of time. I got that much to write. And I wasn't like that at all because, you know, I was just, okay, I got a chart to do. I'll work on it a little bit today. And then, so it taught me discipline and how to deal with the Muppeteers because I had, you know, to teach them songs and stuff like that. So it was I was a teacher and I learned control.
Excellent. No, it's tremendous. It's tremendous stuff. It now makes me want to binge watch Sesame Street from 99 onwards. Superb stuff. One question I ask all the guests on every show, it's our standard question, and it always provides us with some very, very cool and interesting answers. So this is the question, guys. In the next 60 minutes, you can spend it with 2 people, any 2 people that are alive, anywhere in the world. Who would you like to spend the next 60 minutes with, and where would it be? And I'm going to start with Judy.
And they're alive or they're people in the past?
Either people you know,
Either.
people you don't know, dead or alive, just 2 people in one place.
Okay. It would be Benjamin Franklin and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Yeah, it'd be the 2 of them. And I would talk about our present situation
Yeah.
and how they would go forward to get the most positive outcome after we're on the other side of this. And I'd spend an hour talking to them and then ask them what I could personally do to go forward and help make that happen.
You may need more than an hour.
Well, I like to think that I could charm them into staying a bit longer.
And where would you like that meeting to take place?
Aspen. Go back to Aspen. Great thinking happens in Aspen. And then we'd all go skiing.
Nice, love it. Bill, what about you? 2 people, 1 place.
Oh my goodness. Honestly, I think I would want to do C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien in this pub called the Eagle and Child, which is in Oxford, because they had a society, and a bunch of them, they were kind of the leaders of this, and they would sit in that pub and drink Guinness and just like talk about everything, and then do the writings that they were writing. I would love to just sit and talk life and theology and philosophy and good, beer with the two of them. I think that would be kind of amazing.
That would be good. I'd like to be the fourth person there for the beer as well.
Exactly. Well, I want to bring my party to you, and then we'd all stay together.
What about you, Mike?
Well, my answer is a little different than Bill's and Judy's. I was a big fan of Andre Previn because he was such a great musician, a great conductor, a great pianist, a great composer, everything. Great orchestrator, and I would love to just pick his brains about certain things. I've talked to guys who were in Andre's sessions, and they were all raving about him, and I would just like to learn something from him, and maybe in a studio situation or in a piano studio where he could sit down and show me some stuff, whatever. But he was a brilliant conductor also, so I'd like to learn that from him. And as far as the other thing goes, maybe Plato, because of his philosophies, and I still love that whole era of the Atlantis thing. That fascinates me.
Yeah. Boy, that would be another long conversation. 3 great answers there. Thank you so much. We're coming near the end of the interview. This has been personally, this has been one of my favorite shows because I can relate so much. Well, I can relate in the fact that there's 88 keys, but I think that's where the comparison stops, But I admire all 3 of you in so many ways. You bring so much joy and musicality to all of us. I know I can see on our thread that there's so many musicians that have joined today, and they may know Mike, but not the other 2, or Judy or Bill and so on. But they are all now, I can assure you, they're going on and Googling and YouTubing and Spotifying and whatever it is to get access to the music. So that's great. So thanks all 3 of you for joining us today. It's been an absolute ball.
Thank you for doing this, Terry.
Oh, yeah.
That's really nice to meet you, Bill.
It's fantastic to meet you. I feel this is so great to connect with the 2 of you, and I just have so much respect for you both. And
it's great.
Great.
We've got some great shows coming this week. Got to let you know about a couple of highlights. Again, for me on Wednesday, very excited about this show. We've been working on it for a couple of weeks. We have what I call our drum off, our drum festival. 3 Hall of Fame drummers: Gordy Marshall from the Moody Blues, Danny Seraphim from Chicago, and Liberty DeVito from Billy Joel are all going to be on the show this Wednesday. That's going to be a blast. And then on Friday, we've got our UK 60s special show with John McNally from The Searchers, Peter New from Herman's Hermits, and a special guest that I'm not going to disclose till Thursday. So thanks very much for joining the show. Go and like us on Facebook, go and subscribe to us on YouTube, and we'll see you for another TAD Talk tomorrow. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
Lots of love to everybody. Stay safe.